Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari. Gopijana Vallabha Girivanadari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to the Prabhupada. So today we are once again reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are reading from Canto 4, which, does anyone remember the title? Creation of the Fourth Order. And we are on Chapter 13, The Descendants of Dhruva Maharaj. And we will find where we're at soon. We are on text number 33. And there's actually a bookmark here already. Though actually we will begin with text 32. So I will just read I'll chant the Sanskrit and the English for this one. I'll say that, and then we'll go ahead and together we'll chant the text for the next one. Okay. Before we begin, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so text 32. Tata sadya badram te atmanam suprajam nirpa. Istas te putra kamasya putram dasyati yagyabuk. See, the sages, the brahmanas performing the sacrifice, speaking here. O king, we wish all good fortune for you. You have no son, but if you pray at once to the Supreme Lord and ask for a son, and if you execute the sacrifice for that purpose, the enjoyer of the sacrifice, the Supreme Person of Godhead, will fulfill your desires. No purport here, so we'll chant this next one together. Tata swabhagat yayani Grahisyanti Devakosha Yad Yagya Purusha Sakshad Apatyaya Harir Vita Tata Swabhagat Yayani Grahisyanti Devakosha Yad Yagya Purusha Sakshad Apatyaya Harir Vrita. Please chant. Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, so we'll do the word for word. Tata, thereupon. Swabhaga Jayani, their share is in the sacrifice. Grihistyanti, will accept. Diva Okasha, all the demigods. Yat, because. Yagya Purusha, the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Sakshat, directly. Apatyaya, for the purpose of a son. Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vitaha, is invited. Translation. When Hari, the Supreme Enjoyer of all sacrifice, is invited to fulfill your desire for a son, all the demigods will come with him and take their shares in the sacrifice. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Whenever a sacrifice is performed, it is meant for satisfying Lord Vishnu, the enjoyer of the fruits of all sacrifices. And when Lord Vishnu agrees to come to a sacrificial arena, all the demigods naturally follow their master, and their shares are offered in such sacrifices. The conclusion is that the sacrifices performed are meant for Lord Vishnu, not for the demigods. So I'm going to take a moment here to offer my obeisances to my spiritual master, and then we'll continue going forward. We'll read a few more verses. Om Jnanatamandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Takshun Mitamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master has opened my eyes to the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisances unto him and all members of Sri Parampara. Okay, so we'll read a few more verses here, and we'll go into some these verses have some short purports, but we'll go all the way till the end of text 37. Next text, I just read the English. The performer of the sacrifices under karma kunda activities achieves the fulfillment of desire for which he worships the Lord. Srila Prabhupada's purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he awards benedictions to the worshipper according to his desire. The Supreme Personality of Godhead gives all living entities conditioned within this material world full freedom to act in their own way. But to his devotee he says that instead of working in that way, it is better to surrender unto him, for he will take charge of the devotee. That is the difference between a devotee and a fruitive actor. The fruitive actor enjoys only the fruits of his activities, but a devotee, being under the guidance of the Supreme Lord, simply advances in devotional service to achieve the ultimate goal of life, to go back to home, back to Godhead. The significant word in this verse is the significant word in this verse is kaman, which means sense gratificatory desires. A devotee is free of all kaman. He is anyabhilashita shunya. A devotee is always devoid of all desires for sense gratification. His only aim is to satisfy or gratify the senses of the Lord. That is the difference between a karmi and a devotee. Next text. Thus for the sake of a son for King Anga, they decided to offer oblations to Lord Vishnu, who is situated in the hearts of all living entities. Srila Prabhupada's purport. According to the sacrificial rituals, animals are sometimes sacrificed in the yagya arena. Such animals are sacrificed not to kill them, but to give them new life. Such action was an experiment to observe whether the Vedic mantras were being properly pronounced. Sometimes small animals are killed in a medical laboratory to investigate therapeutic effects. In a medical clinic, the animals are not revived, but in the yagya arena, when the animals are sacrificed, they were again given life by the potency of the Vedic mantras. The word shipi vistaya appears in this verse. Shipi means the flames of the sacrifice. In the sacrificial fire, if the oblations are offered into the flames, then Lord Vishnu is situated there in the form of the flames. Therefore, Lord Vishnu is known as Shipi Vista. Okay, next text. As soon as the oblation was offered into the fire, a person appeared from the fire wearing a golden garland and a white dress. He was carrying a golden pot filled with rice boiled in milk. Next text. The king was very liberal, and after taking permission from the priests, he took the preparation in his joined palms, and after smelling it, he offered a portion to his wife. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The word udaradi is significant in this connection. The wife of the king, Sunita, was not fit to accept this benediction. Yet the king was so liberal that without hesitation, he offered to his wife the boiled rice and milk prasad received from the Yagya Purusha. Of course, everything is designed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As will be explained in the later verses, this incident was not very favorable for the king. Since the king was very liberal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to decrease, sorry, there's a little weird wording here. Since the king was very liberal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to increase his detachment from this material world, willed that a cruel son be born of the queen, so that the king would have to leave home. As stated above, Lord Vishnu fulfills the desires of the karmis as they desire, but the Lord fulfills the desire of the devotee in a different way, so the devotee may gradually come home to him. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Ditami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayanti te. The Lord gives the devotee the opportunity to make progress further and further, so that he may come home back to Godhead. So, read a few verses here, but I wanted to get that last verse in because that kind of summarizes this little part of the pastime here. So, we can see that this king, King Anga, he was very much desirous of a son, and he was performing sacrifices to try to achieve this. But also, as we can tell from the purports, that King Anga is also a great devotee. He's a devotee. So the way that Krishna is treating him is a little bit different than he would treat an ordinary person, someone who is simply is consumed with material desires. It appears that King Anga here does still have some material desires, because he is a devotee. Krishna is treating him differently here. So, one distinction that's an important distinction between a devotee, in the highest sense, and a non-devotee is their desires. Srila Prabhupada states in the purport to text number 34 that the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee is the devotee is free from all kinds of sense gratificatory desires. He is anyabhilasha shunya. So this is the highest platform of devotee, that he's completely free from all these junk desires. He just wants to serve Krishna. Another important point in that purport that Srila Prabhupada makes is, you might say, kind of the trajectory of the non-devotee and the devotee. So the non-devotee who asks the Lord, the non-devotee who wants to, a fruitive actor, he simply just gets the fruits of his activities. He does this and he gets the reward. But the devotee, he gradually makes advancement on going back home, back to Godhead. So that is kind of the different trajectories here. So I'd like to comment on a few verses in this connection, a few other references in this connection here. So there's this example of Kubja. So in Kubja in the Bhagavatam is mentioned that she apparently actually had some lusty desires to fulfill with Krishna. She wasn't coming to satisfy Krishna's senses, she wanted to satisfy her own senses. And it's mentioned in the Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada states there, that If one wants to serve Krishna and at the same time one wants to satisfy his own lusty desires, Krishna will handle the situation so that devotee forgets his lusty desires and becomes fully purified and constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. So here we can see Krishna handling a situation in such the way that the devotee becomes purified. Yeah. So similarly here, Maharaj Anga, he's asking Krishna for a son, but Krishna, he's putting him into an interesting situation, actually, so he can become more detached. Now there's a further explanation that Srila Prabhupada gives in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Let me pull that up here. Okay. This is from, I'm actually quoting this. This is from Bhagavatam, 8th canto. So this is, I think, Kashyapa Muni speaking to Aditi here. So here I'll read the translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very merciful to the poor, will fulfill all your desires, for devotional service unto him is infallible. Any other method than devotional service is useless. That is my opinion. Srila Prabhupada's purport here. There are three kinds of men who are called akama, mokshakama, and sarvakama. One who tries to get liberation from this material world is called mokshakama. One who wants to enjoy this material world to its fullest extent is called sarvakama. And one who has fulfilled his desires and has no further material desires is called akama. A bhakta has no desire. Sarvapadim vinirmuktam tat parat vena nirmalam. He is purified and free from all material desires. The mokshakami wants to achieve liberation by merging into the existence of the Supreme Brahman. And because of this desire to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is not yet pure. And since those who want liberation are impure, what to speak of the karmis who have so many desires to fulfill? Nonetheless, the Shastra says, akama sarvakamo va mokshakama udaradi tivrena bhakti yogena yajita purusham param. Whether one desires everything, meaning material desires, or nothing, or desires to merge into the existence of the Lord, he is intelligent only if he worships Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by rendering transcendental loving service. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam's 2nd canto. I believe it's Shukadeva Goswami speaking. I'm not sure. Kashyapa Muni saw that his wife Aditi had some material desires for the welfare of her sons, but still he advised her to render devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In other words, everyone, regardless of whether he is a karmi, yani, yogi, or bhakta, should invariably take shelter at the lotus feet of Vasudeva and render transcendental loving service unto him, so that all his desires will be duly fulfilled. Krishna is dina anukampana. He is very merciful toward everyone. Therefore, if one wants to fulfill his material desires, Krishna helps him. Of course, sometimes if a devotee is very sincere, the Lord, as a special favor to him, refuses to fulfill his material desires and directly blesses him with pure, unalloyed devotional service. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text number 38 and 39, Krishna says, quote, if one engages in my transcendental loving service, but at the same time wants the opulence of material enjoyment, he is very, very foolish. Indeed, he is just like a person who gives up ambrosia to drink poison. Since I am very intelligent, why should I give this fool material prosperity? Instead, I shall induce him to take the nectar of the shelter of my lotus feet and make him forget illusory material enjoyment. If a devotee maintains, end quote, if a devotee maintains some material desire and at the same time very sincerely desires to engage at the lotus feet of Krishna, Krishna may directly give him unalloyed devotional service and take away all his material desires and possessions. This is the Lord's special favor to the devotees. Otherwise, if one takes to Krishna's devotional service but still has material desires to fulfill, he may become free from all material desires, as Dhruva Maharaj did, but this may take some time. However, if a very sincere devotee wants only Krishna's lotus feet, Krishna directly gives him the position of Shuddha Bhakti, unalloyed devotional service. So we can see Krishna has a very unique way of fulfilling the desire of his devotees. What I kind of would see, maybe to kind of summarize this, what we've heard here, is that Krishna, he is looking to try to bring the devotee closer to him, back to Godhead. So he will try to adopt the best means possible according to where the devotee's at. So here, in the case of King Anga, he is actually bringing him a son, which will actually cause disaster, misfortune. But actually, this will be favorable for him in one sense, because it'll bring him closer to the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. This actually reminds me very much of Bhishma Dev. Bhishma Dev, he's lying on the bed of arrows after the Kurukshetra war, and he's looking at the Pandavas. And the Pandavas had undergone all sorts of tribulation, and quite some difficulties. But the Pandavas, they were pretty much, especially Yudhishthira, like virtue personified. Like sometimes we think, sometimes we say, okay, things happen to people because of their bad karma. They've done something in their previous lives that that is causing them their misfortune, whatever it is. But it's hard to say that about the Pandavas. Like, what's going on? They're like virtue personified, and all this bad stuff is happening to them. So Bhishma Dev is lying there on the bed of arrows, and he's saying, no one can really understand the plan of the Lord. It's kind of a may seen as kind of like a cover-all statement. It's like, oh, we don't know what's going on. But actually, we can see here in the case of Maharaj Anga, if Anga is looking at this, if one looks at the situation kind of in a very brief time span, we might think, hey, like, he's Krishna's devotee. Why is Krishna doing this to him? Like, he's like putting Anga in a really nasty situation. If you read about Vena, he's a horrible person. He's not a nice guy, and Krishna, he's doing this elaborate fire sacrifice for Vishnu. He's not like he's just like going about this willy-nilly. He's trying to do this the right way, in one sense. He's going about this elaborate fire sacrifice, doing all this stuff, and still he gets this really lousy son. But actually, this is actually for his own benefit. So, how does this relate to us? Generally, I don't think we're going to be doing any elaborate fire sacrifices for children. I don't think we're going to be doing these things. So how does this relate to our own practice of Krishna consciousness? One thing I would say is that these purports are instructing us that we really should try to keep our desires focused on trying to achieve pure love of Krishna. That this should be our focus. We shouldn't be asking Krishna for this, that, and the other thing, but we should be actually focused on asking Krishna for pure love of him. And if we have the desire for this, that, and the other thing, and we are asking Krishna for it, we shouldn't be disappointed if Krishna doesn't give it. That actually we should understand that Krishna is my supreme well-wisher, and whatever he is sending my way, that is actually for my own benefit. This is actually something that will bring me closer to him. This is something that is for my lasting benefit. Temporarily, it may not seem beneficial. It may seem quite the opposite. But actually, this is actually for our own benefit. This Krishna is looking out for his devotees. So I'll take some comments or questions this time, if anyone has anything they'd like to say here. Yeah. Oh, extra mic here. Maybe that's the mic without batteries. I don't think we've swapped out the batteries in the spare mic now. I can repeat the question for those who are online. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually reading this book, the Bhakti.
Yeah.
And he dedicates like 14
Hmm.
And like he does this like elaborate equation where he like puts together all the possible like combinations of mixed devotional service, and it's like he's just like 800 something, and it's like so many different combinations and permutations of unpure devotional
Yeah,
service.
yeah.
And so I was appreciating it because he was going through all of these, explaining it, and then it finally culminates in, you know, we just accept the process as it is, and don't try to like infiltrate like our own desires or our own want of being lazy, our own want of having things be easy.
Hmm.
We can actually accept the pure process, and actually things become a lot easier. Because in the process of trying to practice these mixed forms of devotional service, it actually becomes a lot more difficult than it needs to be.
Hmm.
Just accept the pure process and kind of just grit your teeth and go through it. And then things actually become a lot more wonderful over time, rather than trying to take it easy for a longer period of time or a longer period of actual reflection. So I was appreciating your point that you was kind of just relating to what I've been doing.
Thank you. It's going to be a little hard to repeat for the online viewers, so you should, if you're listening online, you can come down to the temple when you can. But it's actually quite a benediction to hear all these classes online. You know, sometimes even I've been in Florida or India watching these classes, so it's quite nice. Anyone else? Any comments, questions? Where's Budget Ryan want me to help me get over the line? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that you were quoting from the Chaitanya Charitamrita,
Yeah.
right? You think you could tell where that was from exactly? Because that's very important.
Yeah, that's Madhya Lila 22, 38, and 39. I was quoting that from 8th canto, but it's Prabhupada quotes
22, 38, 39. And you read the purport too?
Yeah, it's probably only a partial purport because I'm reading it like the purport from another purport. Okay. If you go into the actual, let's see if my phone wants to execute this.
22, 38, and 39.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like there's actually not a purport to the next verse, but there's a purport to the verse after that. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada, I'll read a sentence for that. Srila Prabhupada says, to desire material opulence while engaged in devotional service is foolish. Although the person may be foolish, Krishna, being all-intelligent, engages him in his devotional service in such a way that he gradually forgets material opulence. The point is that we should not try to exchange loving service for material prosperity. If we are actually surrendered to the lotus feet of Krishna, our only desire should be to satisfy Krishna. That is pure Krishna consciousness. Surrender means that we do not demand something from the Lord, but that we completely depend on His mercy. If Krishna likes, He may keep His devotee in a poverty-stricken condition. Or, if He likes, He may keep them in an opulent position. The devotee should not be concerned in either case. He should simply be very serious about trying to satisfy the Lord by rendering Him service. So that's a kind of important point, is that the devotee, he's not really looking for some sort of opulence in exchange for his devotional service. Prahlad Maharaj, I think the Sanskrit word I've heard devotees quote that Prabhupada uses the word vanik, like a merchant. When Nisringadev, he's asking him for like, oh, you can take benedictions from me. I got the benedictions here, you know. We sometimes joke a little bit, they're like, oh, like of course, like when you wouldn't accept any benedictions if the Lord's offering, we understand it's pure devotional service, but you actually imagine the Lord's right before you, like, hey, I can give you anything you want. At least for myself, I'd have a few things I'd think about. Maybe I'd be a little embarrassed to ask the Lord for them, but they're definitely there, But Prahlad Maharaj, he's saying, like, what, like, I do all this devotional service for you, and like what I get is like some, I'm doing this for material benedictions? No, like, I'm doing this out of love. I'm doing this because I'm doing this, I'm not doing this for any sort of like little useless things like that.
But then he asked for two things.
Yeah, because the Shingadev is pushing him, That's another one of the Vaishnava etiquette, right? If someone's giving you a gift, you have to accept, right? But Prahlad Maharaj is doing, he said in the example, by not really accepting, you might say, normal material benedictions, but he does ask for some things which are spiritually beneficial to
You remember what he asked for?
Well, one thing there's some things I do remember he asked for, because I've listened to, there was some Shingadev Chaturdasi recently, so I listened to a bunch of classes on this subject. The famous thing, one of the famous things Prabhu Maharaj asked for is forgive his father. And that was Shingadev's, it's already done. And there's that verse in there where I think it's so many generations of your family before that are benefited, So that's there. We can see that, Prahlad Maharaj is very merciful to his father. I think another point Prahlad Maharaj has asked for is that basically, may material desires never take root in my heart. And as far as I've heard it explained by devotees, Lord Shingadev basically says, like, you already have that benediction. Like there's no need to even give it to you. You already have that, But I don't remember some of the other benedict. Maybe there was something else, but I'm not remembering. Anyways. Anyone else? Any comments, questions? Okay, we can end it. What?
I was thinking that, you're bringing it up, Anga, he has to suffer.
Yeah.
Which it was a lot of suffering. I mean, you can imagine.
Yeah.
Devotees have a hard time sometimes when they're children. They reject Krishna consciousness, or I don't know, whatever, they start doing drugs, or, they don't follow the principles or something like that. You can imagine it must be some suffering for the parents.
Yeah.
But, we're going to be hearing these descriptions of Vena and and devotees who just them not following the principles and rejecting Krishna consciousness seems
rather tame.
Yeah, in relation to Vena, he was just absolutely out of control.
Yeah.
So, you can imagine how much Anga was really suffering from it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, and then he just, left. So, like you're making the point that if one becomes a devotee, it doesn't necessarily mean that they suffer, that they don't suffer, but that suffering will bring them to Krishna.
Yeah.
That's the idea, right?
Yeah.
And so I always like to look at it like that, okay, you have to suffer. The material world means there has to be suffering. So either you suffer in your struggle to and be in Maya, or you suffer for Krishna. So I always like to think of that.
Thank you. Okay, I think we'll end there. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, all glories, simple devotee.